Hi everyone, welcome back to Grandpa Mark's Hobbies and another build update for the 34 Ford Roadster. This is a Revell kit. I don't think it's supposed to be a 2-in-1, but it sure is, because we're Mod Podging together a whole bunch of stuff from one build and another. So let's jump in here. The guys have been really busy the past couple of days trying to get this thing all set up and about ready to drop the lights. So this is going to be a lit kit. We'll talk about that here in a second. First thing, let's talk about this guitar. That's the best I could do. I was having a lot of fun with it. I wanted to do a little bit more, but my eyes and my hands just won't let me. So we're just going to have to call that good enough. So let me move that out of the way. And I'm going to turn the light on here. We got a new camera mount and a new light. So that's a little better, huh? All right, let me move all this stuff out of the way. And we'll start with the engine, because that took a lot of little finickies and fussing around to make it really good. Let me draw you in, if I can here. There we go. As you can see, everything's pretty much built. I had to make a bracket for the alternator, and that's just a little piece of that real thin, this paper thin evergreen that I have, that I got in a mishmash kit that had about 4 different sizes. I think that's at Hobby Lobby too. So I made the alternator bracket, got the alternator, the belts and pulleys, the starter is on there, fuel pump's on there. As you can see, the exhausts are on there. And I had to put these on before I ran my spark plug wires, because the spark plug wires are going to come up through the middle of those 2 brackets on both sides. So what I had to do is kind of bend the wires, feed them through into the holes where the spark plugs will go, and then run them up through. And that took a few minutes, but it worked out okay. My biggest worry was, am I going to be able to fit everything on there with these big, huge headers coming off of the sides? And yes, you can. It will drop down in there, no problem. So that's why the chassis is at the spot it's at right now. But we got a Fram oil filter on here. We ran our fuel line up and over. I made a little fuel rail to go in between the 2 of them. I still have to paint that with the copper color where it comes together to make it look like a fitting. And that worked out really good. On the other side, I kind of made a makeshift linkage where I tied the 2 carbs together this way, ran the return spring back that way. So when it pulls down and twists everything, the return spring will pull it back up that way. As the throttle gets pulled down this way, you know, it'll stretch that around. And like I said, the spring will stretch. When you let go of the throttle, it'll close back up and close everything off. And that's my story, and I'm sticking with it. But it worked out okay. It looks good. It's a whole lot better than just having the 2 carbs just sitting up there by themselves. We did put the decals on here. They look good. I put the one on the front. It's a little big for where it goes, but it'll be okay. I used green spark plug wires because of the whole theme of going here, and I think that looks pretty darn good. So we'll get the engine on its stand, and we'll move it out of the way. And since we were talking about the chassis, let me grab my hand here. I did paint the gas tank on the bottom, the flat aluminum, the exhaust. I put the cherry bombs on, laid them in, put the cross member on. I painted this black just because there was so much green in there that it looked too much green. We put our chromes across the back. I will paint these with the Molotow pen at the end where I'm done messing with the suspension and everything. Because if I do it now, it's just going to get messed up. I will paint the insides here black where I drilled them out and thinned them. I'll blacken those up so you can see how thin they are and everything. And then these will come around, and then the ankle burners will come alongside and tie into them. So I'm good here. I glued the gas tank on. I did leave it the green since everything hangs over. So we are good to go there. Our rear end has the brake lines run. And all that is just a piece of my 0.3 millimeter solder bent around and glued into place. No big deal. It'll get on here pretty soon. I still want to drill holes in for the airbags and run the airbags down into the trunk, but that's not going to be today. Our grill is together now, ready to go. I'm happy with that. I did leave the inside of the hood, the green. I was thinking about painting it black and then decided not to. The interior is rocking. Check out those gauges. They were decals, and then when I put them in, what I did is I painted all this the black first, and then I put the decals in, and then I put quick shine over them and thought, you know what, dummy, you got gloss Mod Podge. So once the decals were once the quick shine was dry, I hit it again with the Mod Podge just to give it a little bit of depth on the gauges. And then after that, I came around it with Tamiya's Chrome Silver on a brush. There was that much raised rooms where I was able to brush paint that. And I'm glad I did, because I like the look of it. The steering wheel was slated to be wood tone until I painted it with the gloss black. And I said, you know what? With the dashboard, the black, I'm leaving it. I like that look. Got the boot base. I painted that chrome silver, and then I just painted the whole stick shift chrome silver all the way up and including the top with a rubber black. One of my favorite colors, the XF85 rubber black paint. You saw the last update with the leather seats and everything, and I was talking about, because I am going to wire this, I was talking about using magnets and everything to hold that in place. But as you can see, you don't need to. I can bring this over and a little tap, and that loosens the seat up, and I can pull it out. So I don't think I'm going to put the magnets in there. The battery pack will be in the back here. I'll be able to grab it with a set of tweezers and turn it on and off. But I really don't think it needs the magnets. It sits in there. It just drops in. I mean, bring it up to those little nubs, and it literally falls into place. I sanded and messed around with that until it fit just right. So I'm going to leave that alone. The carpet, I used my pastels, and I used the brown pastel. I painted it with my acrylic black, just a plain acrylic black, and let that dry. Then I came in with my pastels, and I used brown, and I stippled it with the brown, and I looked at it, and I was like, man, that's close. And then I used white in there, and I stippled the white in there too. And I think that made it look like the carpet. So I'm really good with that. That'll work out just right. So we are getting down to the nitty-gritty here. Here's the lights. I am kind of working on a video here on how I'm doing the lights. But as it is right now, the holes are drilled. The wires ran out this way. I twisted the wires together. I got the lenses on using my quick shine. Put quick shine over the top to give them a little bit of that depth. And they're looking good. Let me light one up for you here. We're going to be using this in the trunk. So, man, these wires are thin. red on positive, and blue on geez, slipped right out of my hands. All right. There we go. These are bright. And I actually put a little drop of green, clear green over top of it, the Tamiya's clear green, to dull it down a little bit, or else it would have been even brighter. I was planning on running taillights to this thing. Don't think I'm going to, but we'll see. I haven't drilled for them yet. And the way things are stacking up, I think I'm going to run out of time on doing all this, because I have 2 more in the wings that I got to get going. The truck is about finished. We're waiting on the decals to come down. And then I have a Mustang that's coming up. I have a trailer that I got to do. Really, I have 2 trailers that I have to do for the semi. And then a whole bunch of oldies that I want to get into. April 1st, there's going to be a group build. I'll put the link to it right here that I'm going to jump into. It's a I think 1900s to 1940 is what that's going to be. And I got a couple over there that I've been itching to build. So I'm going to try to get into that too. Last thing here, and I'll let you go. My shock mounts on here. Once I get the wires run, and I'm going to paint these rubber black, we'll put a little drop of Mod Podge on the back where the holes are. And again, this will all be in the video on how I wire this, but we'll put a little drop of Mod Podge on there. I'll paint all that rubber black. That Mod Podge will be like a light block. So any light that tries to get through those little holes, that Mod Podge with the rubber black on it will stop. And then the wires will be rubber black. They'll run down through here, run up the 2 holes that I made next to the exhaust, and into the trunk. So the next thing we have to do is we have to get our front suspension built on this. And once I do that, then I can hook up the lights, run the light wires down through. Remember, I just put my finger away here. Remember, I got the holes already made in the frame, so that it'll be easy to run those lights around through. I forgot to do that a couple of times and then just drill it. This time I made a huge notch in there. So I'll be able to come up, run down along the side of the headers and straight up into the back here. I plan on coming through here and tight to this wall, over, and then drop into that little hole right here, and same on this side. And then we'll put a couple of pieces of that tape in here to hold them in place. I still have to touch up my cherry bombs. I got them in place before I got them all touched up. And then the rear suspension will go quick, but I can't really do the rear suspension till I get these wires run, because the rear suspension all gets in the way. These angled brackets and everything will be in the way for running the lights. So I'll do the lights first, then we'll do the rear, but I have to build the front first. And I think that's out of sync with the way you're supposed to build this. But I'll get the engine in, I'll get the suspension built, then I'll get the wires run, and then we'll be able to build the back, throw everything together, and we'll be out of here. So I'd like to get this one done by the end of this weekend and then move on to the next. But there we go. Looking really good. This drops on here just perfectly like that. Sits on there. That's why I wanted to run the green on the chassis, is so everything lines up and looks good. And with that, I'll let you go. I am Mark. Grandpa Mark's Hobbies. You all have a great day and a better tomorrow. And thank you very much for watching.